which are the best sim racing gloves. By the end of this video, you are going to be a sim racing glove expert. We're going to go through quality, material, breathability, touchscreen use, sizing, other sort of secret features that you can't really see online, but we've worn these gloves. Can sim racing gloves make you faster? Probably, maybe yes if you're wearing Alcantara. It's just a much more natural fit on the wheel. So potentially poor performance here as well. I'm here with Sam, professional karter. So he's been using a lot of gloves in the real world, very difficult condition, world championships, etc. Let's go through, Sam. We've got a mixture of all of these gloves you're going to see today can be used for sim racing. Some of them are specifically sim racing gloves. Some of them are motorsport gloves. Some of them are different gloves.
Rental cart.
Should we go through some bespoke sim racing gloves first? And we've got pairs with our names on first. So these were given to me by Callum McIntyre of Driver 61 fame. We race on because we teammates in iRacing. And I think, are they both IMB racewear? Yes, they are.
Both IMB.
What do you want to talk about these then, Sam? You wear these on a sort of a daily basis. So.
Yes, so with my ones here, IMB, I personally feel they're amazing gloves, really good gloves, and I will definitely buy them again. They're nice and thin. They fit like a glove, which is ironic. For sim racing particularly, you've got all the touch points.
Yeah.
So it works with your touch with your mouse. Or
not something you'd have on a real world glove.
No, it's not very often we scroll through anything. Really great, really comfortable, lightweight, breathable glove, which, for my opinion, is exactly what you need for a sim rig. You can see I've been using these now for 8 months, maybe, and very, very little wear.
I'm spotting some differences in our gloves, I believe. So firstly, I think I've got a different material on the outside. As someone who's played a lot of football and rugby in my time, this feels like a football or rugby sleeve. And you can see when I tense my knuckles, I actually have a little sort of hole already. So
it's very breathable. Yeah,
very breathable, but perhaps less durable. I think I have elements here.
That's the grip around the wheel.
Yeah.
Is
that maybe because I have a bit more of a delicate material?
It could be. I mean, mine are very noticeably, to us in person, a lot thicker than yours.
Yeah.
And that is probably why yours have that extra bit of padding there.
I would say if you have sweaty hands like George Russell, these gloves are going to be pretty much as good as you can get. Yep. I don't think we have anything more breathable than this on the table. So that's IMB racewear. We'll come back to those because we're going to tell you some little secrets that you might not spot if you're viewing online. Let's go unorthodox now, Sam. I think those are your pairs. These are unorthodox pairs I've got. These for a long time were my favourite karting gloves.
Yeah. I mean, these are the ones which... Both these pairs here are your traditional rental karting ones. Lightweight, very cheap, breathable, does the job.
Cheap.
Very cheap. Emphasis on cheap.
Yeah, that is the main reason. I would say a big difference though is that the reason why I like these ones, these are Dex Fit, buy them on Amazon or somewhere, is for me just so grippy. Yeah. Like the grip for me on these are mechanics gloves, are just unbelievable. You don't have any real padding, but wet or dry. Now you've got a lot of grippy elements. Now when you go rental karting, you see a lot of time they've actually worn off.
Yes, they're missing all the dots everywhere, aren't they?
Sim racing, I would not wear these gloves, and I don't wear these gloves. I don't need that level of grip in sim racing.
Yep.
It's not like when I'm 1.5 hours into a karting stint and I'm like trying to hold onto the wheel. And also the breathability is not great. I mean, there's zero breathability.
There's zero, yeah. I mean, that is not a very forgiving breathable. Whereas these are noticeably, I wouldn't say thinner, but a lot more stretchy. The weave seems a lot further apart, but that's going...
I don't want to be too judgmental.
No.
I feel it would be weird to go sim racing now, but I want to know, anyone watching, if you wear these gloves, let us know in the comments because you're a true hero. Let's go to proper karting gloves. So you've got proper karting gloves there. I actually have a few. I'm going to go with my talk ones because these are my championship winning gloves. You've gone for yours, which are -273.
-273, which is an American brand. Ignore the oil spill.
These are both, in karting world, these are both two very highly rated brands.
I also have a pair of Torque gloves, and my son races in Torque gloves as well.
So let's talk about, these have to be really durable. These are going to go through a lot of sort of stretching and pain and wear and tear. These on the hand just feel absolutely insane. Mm-hmm. The irony is, if you look at them, you might look at them and think, are they inside out? There's a lot of outside stitching. Do you want to explain that, Sam?
So you have the outer stitching. A lot of time, these ones have got them as well. They're not as pronounced as Kireth's are. The gaps here are a lot tighter, and mine, Kireth's, have a lot open. But the reason you have outer stitching is it's less to chafe in your hand. So if you're doing like a long stint, which you don't typically do in sim racing, but in real motorsport, if you're doing a long stint, the seam here will chafe in your hand quite considerably, especially if you're moving around and the weather's changing from dry to wet.
You might have a bit of sweat in there as well.
Exactly, and it'll chafe, and that is why you'll find a lot of proper motorsports, not just karting, all motorsports, they're now all going to the outside seam.
So it might look like, oh, have they done it the wrong way around, inside out? But there's deliberate science behind that.
There is.
I just, putting these on, the saying fits like a glove. This makes me feel, it's because I've worn these racing intensely, and these make me feel, even now, like my hairs on my arm are standing up a little bit. As you can see, just because these are really the real deal.
Yeah.
I'm going to put A, I, and B on my left hand, Sam.
But don't get me wrong, these do work really well for sim racing, because obviously they need to be comfort for karting and real motorsport. So they're nice and thin. My ones, I don't think either Kireth's are perforated, but these are actually perforated. So you don't get the sweaty palms. So do let the air flow through, which particularly well in a sim rig where obviously you don't have the natural airflow.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're cracking gloves. They're really good. I would use these. If I didn't have these ones, I would be using these in my sim rig.
These are a bit like, you know how you see people driving big Land Rovers in the suburbs? It's a bit like that. If you use these in sim racing, they're built really for so much more than sim racing.
Exactly. And you got to have flashy gloves.
Yeah.
Look at them. These ones. You're not going to miss them. You got to have flashy gloves.
You'll see them on our YouTube videos. So I've got some interesting gloves here, Sam. Wow. I mean, look at it. I told you it's going to be a great. This is the gloves video to end all gloves videos. So make sure you subscribe, because we're going to do the same thing with wheels, same thing with shoes. We're going to go through every aspect of sim racing, and we're going to compare real world equipment, sim racing equipment. We've got a lot of brands that are giving us stuff to show you.
And it all varies from super expensive to it's literally super expensive gloves to the cheapest ones as well. So there's something there for everyone. We understand what it's like at different budget ranges. These gloves here, Sam, we did a karting race ago. We did a 24-hour karting race a few years ago. If you remember, I got a massive blister. You did.
And then I helped you take down your gazebo. I took half my hand off. These were the gloves that I was wearing when I got a massive blister.
I was going to try it on, but I actually don't want to
for
now.
half a blister inside. You can see these arguably are the best. They look like the best fitting gloves that I've had, that I've worn today. There's something about it with the chafing or the blistering that didn't quite work. So the sizing looks like it's great. They look absolutely very dexterous, but these are not fitting as well as actually my Torque gloves.
So you'll notice modern trending on motorsport, and once again, it will overlay into sim racing like it always does. Modern trending is thinner material. These Sparcos are extremely thick. They're very thick gloves.
And they make me sweat. I think they make me sweat more inside, and then then you get blisters.
Then you get chafing, which turns to blisters. So the modern, and like I said, it's for all motorsports. The modern theory is everyone's going thin. Even football boots, they're thin boots.
Yeah.
I personally never get on with Sparco. I've never really been a big fan of Sparco stuff. I've tried it all, never really got along with it. I've always swayed to Alpine style, which we don't sadly have here. I've got a couple which are in rotation for me, but I was never a fan of Sparco.
Yeah, and I learnt my lesson there and sort of paid a heavy price in my hands. I wanted to bring something really interesting. So I don't often wear gloves sim racing, but when I do, these are my sim racing gloves. And these, again, were karting gloves that I bought from Adidas.
Is there a blister in this one?
There's no blister in them,
cool.
no. they feel like sim racing gloves. Like I've worn these karting a few times. They obviously have this crazy sort of like mountain bike thing on the outside, which is superfluous, but very, very, very dexterous on the inside. I don't know what you think about these, Sam.
Now these, to me, strike me as a goalkeeper glove, really, with the or kind of like the strengthening behind, so you don't bend your fingers back. Yeah, you've just reused them. But it's super tight. I've never raced in Adidas gloves. I've got Adidas boots, but I've never raced in Adidas gloves. Super tight. We must have very similar hand size because these feel really dialed for me. And
I can tell you, very breathable.
Yeah, I can imagine. But how long have you had these?
I've had these for about 4 years.
Oh, okay. 4 years. I was going to say if you hadn't had them for long, the wear's terrible. 4 years.
Yeah, they're all falling off. So.
You said that these are your favourite ones to use. In that case, these are held up brilliantly.
Yeah.
Like you usually find you'll get holes here first more than anywhere else. And that's from where you hold a wheel. You
can see a lot of the patterns worn off where it's been in contact. So there has been a lot of wear on these gloves, but the critical parts have not worn through.
I'd be sold on these if it didn't have the little armour bits on it.
Yeah, I remember at the time thinking whether to take them off, and it's a bit unusual and it's a bit of a mountain biker style. If it didn't have those, I feel like these would be very incredible gloves. And it's interesting because they take the sort of Sparco philosophy, but then are very, very, very light and sort of take away all the negatives of Sparco.
Yeah.
They're very different to these Stras sim racing gloves. These are imports from Japan that Stras have sent across for review. I don't even think you can buy them in the UK or the US or anywhere outside Japan. You need to go to Japan to get them. And these take a lot of design cues, I think, from something like the Torque and also your minus 273s, which is interesting.
Once again, they're out stitched. So the philosophies are merging together from sim racing from motorsport to sim racing. So they've got that for the comfort, so you don't get the chafing. They're very, very tight elastic around here, which I will probably put down to being new, but they seem overly tight.
Hopefully that'll loosen over time.
Yeah. The grips are super sticky. Oh, and also for anyone who doesn't know, if you have any sort of motorsport gloves with grips on them, put them in a soapy bowl of water and that will give you your grip back. So if you feel you've lost grip, soapy bowl of water.
Top tip. And
that will give you your grip back. And it won't ruin your gloves.
Grip, not quite as important as sim racing, but still, you're wearing them. One of the benefits is having grip.
Yeah.
So, especially on Alcantara. I really like these gloves. So I'm going to put them through their paces, but I feel like we can see here the lineage. They've taken cue from the gloves that we use in real life.
Yes.
They haven't taken cues from the gloves that we have issues with in real life or the cheaper gloves.
Exactly. You can see, like, if we put them side by side, you can see they are getting more and more like motorsport gloves. So remember, these are like some of the latest ones. These are the latest sim gloves. These are some of the older ones, older motorsport gloves. And you can see they're looking more like the modern stuff.
Yeah. I wouldn't wear these karting, although it's an interesting concept to do, but these won't have gone through the same specifications. Really hope you found that interesting. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Let us know which gloves you use in the comments, and we'll see you next time.